and then continued to win 6 of the first 7 races, giving himself a massive 26-point lead ahead of his teammate. Brawn were therefore also dominating the constructors with a 39.5-point lead.
What is going on, guys? It is JJ here, back with a new video, and today we are going to take a look for the first time at what people say is the best Formula 1 underdog story of all time. It is Brawn. I knew nothing about this. I feel like people had told me in the comments a little bit about sorry for the squeaky chair. I feel like people had told me a little bit about this in the comments of past videos, but like I never really thought about it until we watched the 2009 review, which we still should do. I don't remember what video we watched where it talked a little bit about Brawn in their beginning and how they made pretty much the best car. They made a little F1 rocket and then ended up winning 2009 and 2000. Was it 20? Yeah, 2010? No, just 2009. 2010 through 13 was Vettel. Yes, I'm correct in saying that. Oh, I gotta brush up on my knowledge. But anyway, we're gonna take a look at the best underdog story in Formula 1 history. That is Brawn GP. So let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comments below, and let's get into it. As well, guys, you can find the original video in the description below.
Right, so we all know Formula 1 is a very difficult sport to be successful in. I mean, even just to compete you need to pay £200 million.
That's
on top
still
of
an
the
insane
obvious
amount.
financial requirements, a team needs to hire the top talent to build a race-winning car. Of course, also having a top driver to extract as much as possible from it. Even if a team is able to join the Formula 1 grid, there's no guarantee of success. To look at this, who better than the reigning champions Mercedes, who joined the grid in 2010 and only began to win consistently in 2014. And that's for a company valued.
Honestly though, Mercedes pumped so much money into it, and now you can see them sort of breaking from success. Like they're actually crippling themselves from success because the car this year is just not up to snuff. And you can see Red Bull finally pulling away from them.
$21 billion. While since 2014 Mercedes has caused Formula 1 to become quite predictable, most of the time, the Brawn BGP 001 takes us back to a time where Mercedes didn't even finish on the podium. Granted, they weren't a team at the time, but that's not the point. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification button to never miss a new video. The story of this awesome machine actually began nowhere near a racetrack. The global recession, which began in December 2007, was destroying businesses and livelihoods all around the world.
I did not think about that.
The crisis even reached the wealthy sport of Formula 1, as teams such as BMW and Honda struggled to make ends meet. The struggle got so bad.
Imagine you're after that financial crisis, and then F1, and you're like, okay, take this out. You know, we just need to finish X amount of races. Like, doesn't matter what place you get, just finish the races, don't crash the car. And like, so a driver would crash the car in practice, or like stuff like that. Like, you'd be so screwed. Like, you're so crippled by money.
BMW and Honda were forced to withdraw from Formula 1 due to the high costs of the sport. But for this video, I'm going to focus solely on Honda. So for the 2008 season, Honda had Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello behind the wheel. To be honest with you, there was not much to write home about, with Rubens finishing 14th and Jenson 18th, but if you might remember, Rubens actually snatched a P3 finish at the British Grand Prix. It turned out to be Honda's last podium before their return with McLaren in 2015.
Oh wow.
Moving on. So Honda announced that they were leaving Formula 1 in December of 2008. This was an extremely late announcement that put 600 people out of a job, as well as Rubens and Jenson without a race seat for 2009. I mean, how else are they going to get their £1 million salaries? Jokes aside, at the last minute, Honda team principal Ross Brawn swooped in to save the day and bought the whole team, ensuring the jobs of hundreds in the process. This was a pretty big flex from Brawn, especially during a global financial crisis, but I guess it really just showed his character more than anything.
Where did he get the money from? Where did he get the backers from?
Brawn GP was born, but everyone at the team knew that 2009 was most likely going to be an extremely difficult season. Thankfully for both Rubens and Jenson, they kept their race seats and began a new chapter in their careers. To put it mildly, they had no idea what was in store for them. The team's first hurdle was that they were left without an engine because Honda used to build their own, and now that Honda weren't part of a quick fix. Sound familiar? Well, to his luck, many engine suppliers came forward to help, but it was the Mercedes engine that Brawn decided to go with. If only Red Bull had this luxury. So, with the necessary requirements completed, on the 20th of March, just 9 days before the first race in Australia, Brawn GP were confirmed as an entrant and were allocated the final pit lane slot. But the team knew the Brawn BGP 001 was not going to be competitive unless they manipulated the rulebook somehow and found a groundbreaking discovery. Well, thanks to Ross Brawn, Jorg Zander, Craig Wilson, and Loic Bigwas.
Bigwa.
I definitely butchered that one.
Bigwa.
Found a loophole in the 2009 regulations, which included what was dubbed the double diffuser, that included a hole in the rear which increased the speed of airflow towards the rear venturi section, creating massive amounts of downforce. Basically, it was bloody genius. And as you probably know already...
How did no one find it then? Like, how did it take all the way up until 2009 for them to find that loophole?
Was absolutely
That's my
critical
genuine
to
question.
their 2009 campaign. Not to mention how stunning this car was, with the iconic
It does look
white
gorgeous.
and neon
It does
yellow
look
colour
gorgeous.
scheme. On top of that, the fact they struggled to get many sponsors made it even more beautiful in my opinion. So when they arrived in Barcelona for pre-season, they were fairly optimistic about how quick the BGP 001 was. After JENSON set the team's first lap, he came back into the garage and began complaining about understeer in quite a few corners. But JENSON's race engineer actually thought he was joking and said, "JENSON, you've set one lap and you're 1.2 seconds ahead of anyone else." Apparently his first few laps even kept being deleted because the race directors thought he had cut the chicane. That is how unbelievable their pace was. Unsurprisingly, once the team realised just how rapid they were, they did the old Mercedes sandbag to move the attention away from them. But the whole Formula 1 paddock were gobsmacked to say the least, and started looking into the BGP 001's double diffuser design.
That sandbag method, honestly, is a genius move. You lure people in and think, oh, it was a lucky time, it's a lucky lap time, and in fact it wasn't. It's not at all. It's all their design.
Going so far as to launch an official investigation into the legality of it. With pre-season wrapped up, Brawn were understandably buzzing for the first race of the season in Australia. Only just the Wednesday before the race, the double diffuser design on the BGP 001 was allowed by the FIA, and Brawn could now focus completely on the race. To begin with, practice sessions were nothing too special for the BGP 001, to be honest, but qualifying came along and they smashed it. JENSON qualified on pole with Rubens in second, meaning an all-Brawn front row lockout in their first
season, in their first race.
On top of this, the Ferraris qualified 7th and 9th, with McLaren 14th and 15th. So, on to the race. JENSON led into turn 1, while Rubens almost stalled, putting his car from 2nd to 9th before he even got to turn 1. But when he got there, he collided with Mark Webber, sending him into a spin. Back to JENSON, and he was calmly leading the race with no real competition. While behind him, Vettel in 2nd and Kubica in 3rd crashed into each other and both retired from the race.
So it was just a perfect start. It's a perfect start.
As the checkered flag was waved, Button celebrated his first win since Hungary 2006, with Barrichello finishing 2nd, giving Brawn a 1-2 in their first
So Barrichello came back from the first lap crash too?
ever race. An incredible achievement for a team that almost never existed. JENSON then continued to win 6 of the first 7 races, giving himself a massive 26-point lead ahead of his teammate. Brawn were therefore also dominating the constructors with a 39.5-point lead. Thanks to their double diffuser, Brawn's season was looking pretty secure.
They're running away with it.
001 was set to become the most dominant in history. But
FIA
like any
come for
technical
them.
advantage, it soon began to disappear as teams also built new diffusers. This left Brawn scratching his head,
They adjusted
thinking
the middle of the
of a new way
season.
to stay competitive. Unlike Red Bull or Ferrari, he didn't have massive amounts to splash on new tech, so all he could do was keep the same general design of the BGP 001 and hope their advantage could last the whole season before Red Bull caught them. Now this is where Sebastian Vettel comes in.
Because he was on it. Because he was on it.
The Brawns after the 7th race. As the season went on, the Brawn BGP 001 became much less competitive, in many cases failing to finish in the top 4. This meant Vettel took advantage of the much quicker RB5 to win 3 races and take 8 podiums, but it soon became pretty clear that Button's performance at the start of the season meant it was virtually impossible for Vettel to catch him up in time. So, Jenson Button won the championship at the penultimate race of the season in Brazil, as well as Brawn winning the Constructors' Championship at that same race. This was an awesome achievement from the Brawn team.
Dude, that's so sick!
In just their
That's so
season,
sick.
They won 8 races and claimed 15 podiums, which I'm pretty certain is a record.
Does that record still stand? Because there's no way. 8 Vettel did 9 in a row at one point, didn't he? So I mean, that record definitely doesn't stand anymore. But still, that's fascinating. Go from barely making it in time to start the season to the best car, even after the teams match up with you.
Also meant Jenson became the 10th
quality.
British
That's actually
driver to
such
win a
quality stuff.
championship, to join the likes of Hamilton, Graham and Damon Hill, and Jackie Stewart. So as I mentioned earlier, because Brawn GP was privately owned, they weren't able to pump in massive amounts of cash like the other teams. So they sadly couldn't afford to keep the team going, and sold it to a certain Mercedes AMG F1 team.
Oh
Heard of
my
them by any
goodness.
chance?
Oh
Basically,
my
Mercedes
goodness.
buying the team meant all 600 jobs were saved, and the legacy of Brawn continued. So, in a weird way, all of Mercedes' success, since they became a team in 2010, all originated from the Brawn GP team. Bit of effect,
That's like a weird
but hear me
butterfly
out.
effect. That's so
Obviously,
awesome,
all
though.
600 staff then joined the Mercedes team. And yes, while it's true they've made changes with the employees since 2010, the general ethos and foundation remains the same. So you're probably also wondering what happened to Jenson and Rubens.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, they got
the same
replaced.
position that they
They got
were
replaced.
almost a year ago, albeit with more wins in their pocket. Well, McLaren snatched up Jenson to partner Lewis Hamilton in an all-British lineup at a British team. Nice. While
Nice.
Rubens, now 37 years of age, joined the pretty uncompetitive Williams team
He was just
before
there for the
hanging up
vibes.
the boots at the end of 2011 after an absolutely stellar career in Formula 1. Well, there you have it. That's the story of the Brawn BGP 001.
I love that story. I think that's so sick, though. I didn't realize Mercedes AMG came from Brawn. I don't think it's an underdog story. I think it's a rags to riches story. I think that's the better way to put it, because literally a team with no money, crippled due to a financial crisis, having to be bought out by the team principal, and pretty much just like, how can we stamp our name on this season? How can we create a legacy with this car? And they did it from the bottom. I loved every bit of that. And no sponsors, sick car, kept everyone's jobs safe in what was probably an insanely tumultuous time. And they put it all together. Like, that's a great... No, it is an underdog story. That's a great underdog story. It's a great rags to riches story too. But, okay, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below on the Brawn GP story. We do need to take a look at the 2009 season, because, let's face it, if it wasn't for Brawn GP and then eventually Mercedes AMG, maybe Red Bull wouldn't have improved as much under Vettel to then have his 4P. So, let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.